What's good, YouTube, and a double what's good to everyone that's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for being subscribed. My name is Coach, and in today's video, we're going to be going over this Jared Carthalion commander deck that I was able to build the other day. This is a +1/+1 counter, Kavu, Tribal, Populate, 5-color commander deck. If you like videos like this and you appreciate my monotone voice, you can like this video and subscribe to the channel. And if you're looking for a community to join that'll help you build commander decks, you can join the Discord in the link below. Within this video, we're going to be going over each of these piles. Each of these piles represents a different strategy within the deck. At the end of this video, we'll be going over the strategies on how to best compete and play and how to think when playing this commander deck. Honestly, the deck list is in the description below, so you're more than welcome to click on that and then just skip over to the strategies, because that's honestly going to be the most important part of this video. We'll start by taking a look at our commander. Jared Carthalion is a 5-color commander that +1s and creates a 3/3 Kavu creature token with trample that's all colors. His -3 allows us to choose 2 target creatures, and you put a counter on them for each color it has. And then his -6 says, return target multicolored card from your graveyard to your hand. If that card was all colors, draw a card, and you create 2 treasure tokens. The whole purpose of this deck is to create Kavus, and create many Kavus. Essentially, what we want to do is to create our Kavus to -3 Jared to turn our 3/3 Kavus into 8/8 Kavus. The first pile of cards we have here is +1/+1 counter themed. Broker's Ascendancy puts a counter on our creatures, and then a loyalty counter on our planeswalkers. Philidar Retreat either creates a blocker for Jared or puts counters on our creatures and gives them vigilance, which is relevant. We have Vorel. We can double the number of counters on a creature we control. Roalesk puts counters on our creatures, more importantly, proliferates. Tanazir doubles the counters on a creature we control. Forgotten Ancient puts counters on creatures. Makes good blockers. Master of Biomancer is going to have our Kavus enter the battlefield with more counters on them. Corpsejack Menace is going to double the counters. Green of the Demagogue puts counters on our creatures and draw the cards. Then the Herald of Secret Streams is going to give our creatures with counters on them unblockable. This is a GG card right here. The next group of cards we have here are the Populate cards. First card we have is Trostani. I really like the art on this card. This will gain you life and it lets us populate our Kavus. Selesnya Eulogist is going to let us populate by exiling a creature. Progenitor Mimic makes token copies of creatures. Get Red populates when he attacks. Essex makes token copies. Xyrus is going to make snake tokens, which we can turn into Kavus with Brutaclad. And Brutaclad also gives us creature tokens we control haste. We also have Growing Ranks that I might take out of the deck because this plays kind of slow at times. And then we have Full Flowering, which populates. We have to remember that Jared's -6 allows us to return a multicolored card from our graveyard to our hand. And the most powerful combo I've seen with Jared is to return board wipes from our graveyard to our hand and constantly recast them over and over again. We have Colossus Will, Merciless Eviction, Iridian Maelstrom, which is basically a one-sided board wipe, Lavalanche, Dune Blast, and Time Wipe. Most of those cards were included in the pre-con. The final pile of cards we have here are cards that just generally work well with the deck. Jensen allows us to fix our mana and then creates angels when we cast our commander. Curse of Clinging Webs allows us to exile creatures when we wipe the board, and then creates tokens so that we can protect Jared. Glare of Subdual allows us to use the token creatures we have to tap artifacts and creatures. Genesis is going to allow us to bring some of our creatures that are high impact cards from a graveyard back to our hand. Knight of New Alara gives our Kavus +5/+5, kind of acts like a Craterhoof Behemoth. And then the Tome of the Guild Pact allows us to draw cards whenever we cast a multicolored spell, and it taps for mana. Now, when we're playing Jared, what are some of the strategies we want to focus on while we're playing this deck? First things first, we need to get to 5 colors of mana. And all of your mana, regardless of the board state, unless you need to respond to remove something, all of your mana earlier on in the game needs to be spent ramping as much as possible. This deck is a mid to late game type of deck where we just want to get as much mana as we possibly can onto the board as quickly as possible, regardless of what our opponent is doing. Because if our opponent is constantly playing creatures and cards onto the board, at some point we're going to be able to wipe the board. And when we wipe their board, it will reset everything that's gone on up to that point. And now we'll restart the game with a bunch of mana on a clear board. Now, after the board is wiped, we can start thinking about playing Jared. When we get Jared onto the board, we're going to immediately create 1 Kavu. And then we're going to be using our Populate cards to be making as many Kavus as we can. The reason being is that we just want to protect our commander. We want to keep Jared as close as possible to his -6 ability, which essentially is going to allow us to reanimate or place that board wipe we cast earlier back into our hand. Preferably using a board wipe that is one-sided, so that all we're really doing at this point is just keeping our creatures on the board and then wiping our opponent's creatures. Wiping our opponent's creatures, making more creatures, so on and so forth. While that's happening, we're going to choose 1, maybe 2 Kavus and start placing a ton of counters on them with the cards that we have that place counters on them. Always remember as well, we can use Jared's -3 to turn 2 of our Kavus into 8/8s if need be. However, when we're looking to -3, I highly suggest that we're only using the -3 and some of our big plays or big cards in an attempt to win the game. I could turn both of these 2 Kavus here into 8/8s and deal 16 trample damage. But if my opponent is at 32 life, dealing 16 trample damage, while it's halving their life, I would rather -6 and get a board wipe back to my hand than make a play that my opponent could survive an extra 1 or 2 turns from. This deck plays well when you make the game as long as possible. You're not really looking to win in short spurts. So my tip for this deck is to only go all out with the counters in attacking when you're gonna win that turn. Because if somebody does something and your defenses are down and you have no more mana to respond to anything, or you have no ability to reanimate your board wipes or get your board wipes back, it can put you in a position where they can remove your board entirely. And now you have to build up your board state again. And now you have to wait turns for you to get to the point where you can -6 to get your board wipes back. Just keep that in mind when you're playing this deck, and I hope that you do well if you decide to build this commander deck. That's going to be the end of this video. If you like videos like this and my monotone voice, you can like this video and subscribe to the channel. There are over 300 videos on this channel, and if you have a suggestion for a video you'd like to see in the future, you can leave it in the comment section below, and I always respond to the comments, and I make videos that people request as well. Also, keep in mind that I do work as a life coach, and there is an anonymous question submission link in the description down below. So if you would like your guidance or anything, really, you can leave it over there, and I'll make that question into a video in the future. Okay? Always remember, eat healthy. Okay? Work out every single day. Most importantly, you gotta believe in yourself, right?